is The Way of Conscious Mindfulness. It is a weekly and regular podcast Facebook Live show discussing spirituality and science, blending it with health and well-being and mind, body and spirit, and with a Taoist twist. What does the Tao mean? The Tao means the way, the path, the balance. Now, surprise, surprise, anything with me in it is not a normal show, and this show most certainly is not anything but normal. Each week, each show, we either have a subject or a guest. Today, we have an awesome guest. One I've known for many, many years, actually goes all the way back to when I started this show over 3.5 years ago. And the mighty Brendan Cullington, Skull Babylon, the mighty wolf, he, first came on the show. I knew back in those days of Paradigm Shift and Paradigm Shift Radio. So it's a great honor and pleasure to have him on the show. So our goal is to have an open discussion to help us all find new techniques, new skills, new ways to balance our very own personal way, path, or Tao. So without further ado, and a couple of clicks of the buttons, in 5, 4, 3, 2, and a 1. We'll bring on the awesome Philo, Lila. Hello, sir. How are you doing? It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. Happy Thursday to you and to everyone watching. I'm doing great. I'm here in my hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, on the other side of the ocean from you. So it's pretty cool with modern technology that we can talk across the ocean. Still kind of blows my mind. Definitely still blows my mind.
It's like I said, it's day, it's afternoon there for you. It's night time, for me. And then, we got they're coming in now. So this is actually my auntie. So Erin, right, I call her Big Sis. She's here, so she's saying hi, little bro, because I call her Big Sis. She calls me little bro. She's here. Then Paula is here. Hi, Sifu, and sending love all the way from the Netherlands. So yeah, I've got people all around the world who watch this show, from the Faroe Islands, which is just off the UK, Ireland, Scotland, Australia, New Zealand. We had our first New Zealand guest just a couple of months ago. So even New Zealand tunes into the show, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, it's great. It's great to have you on. It's great for you to be here. And I do love this technology thing. It is a pretty mind-blowing thing indeed. Okay, so this is your first time on the show. So Philo, what I want to say is that niche question. The people who know this show know I have a particular question. I have asked all 180 guests, I think it is now, that I've had. So this is your show. So this is The Way of Philo, Lila. So Philo, what is your way? What is your personal Tao?
That's a great question. I've been trying to find my personal way for probably my whole life, but I feel like I've gained a lot more clarity on it in the past 8 or 9 years as I've been, reading lots of books on spirituality and holistic living. And I've been a traveler for quite a long time. I rode my bicycle across America in 2010, exploring sustainable living. So we rode with a group of about 6 people, and we visited sustainable eco villages along the way. And that was in 2010, and that opened my eyes to so many different ways of living in harmony, in better harmony with the earth. Because, I grew up in the city, never really went to many farms or anything. As a kid, I basically thought food comes from the grocery store, it doesn't come from the soil. So this bike trip really opened my eyes, and it was 6 months of living outside, sleeping in tents every night, and visiting and helping out on permaculture farms and just really cool urban projects all across America. And at the very end of that trip, I actually got hit by a car I was riding my bike and the car was going like 55 miles an hour. And I had a very profound near-death experience, which really changed my life. And that feeling firsthand how like fragile my own life was, it like kind of accelerated my desire to live life to the fullest and not, do things that don't really resonate with my core truth. So when I got back from the bike trip, I started organizing community events in my hometown of Pittsburgh, and just trying to bring people together to bring a similar kind of community atmosphere that I felt on this bike trip. And so in 2011, I helped found an event called the Peaceful Gathering of Hands, which is a big peace festival here in Pittsburgh. And that kind of birthed my life as a community organizer, organizing all sorts of different events related to social issues, community building, and environmental issues. And so I lived in Pittsburgh for a while, and I went on tour sharing my music. I have a few different albums of like spoken word, beatboxing, singing. So I went on three different tours between 2011 and 2015. So I went and performed at different festivals like Lightning in a Bottle and Burning Man and different places. And all along this journey, I feel like I was kind of finding my own way. And like I'm all about spontaneity and exploration and trying new things. And so I was kind of dabbling in every sort of flavor of spirituality I could find. I did Kundalini yoga every single morning for 2 years straight. And I actually don't really recommend that. I think I kind of overdid it. And
too much fire. Too much fire. But unless you understand, because the whole actually, if I read chat on it, it's always forget which way. So the whole Tibetan. So the Tibetans talk about the as a dragon. So the dragon energy coils up. But yeah, it can be. This is the whole thing of the pillar of light, the Jedi. The word Jedi, it actually means the pillar of light, the keepers of the pillar of light. That's where George Lucas nicked it from. And the pillar of light is an energy system. I always use a lightsaber. But it's an energy system that goes from the top of the head straight down your body. So when you add the two, you get balance. But yeah. So sorry jumping in there, but yeah. It is something. It should come up with a little bit of a health warning because people don't quite realize.
Yeah, I agree. It's very intense, and so I did that, and around the end of 2012, I kind of figured out that I needed to take a break and just ground myself. So really, since then, I've really had a focus of always grounding my energy. Like some people are always trying to raise their Kundalini or whatever. I like to practice, I'm sure you're familiar with the microcosmic orbit of Taoism. So it's like the energy circuit that goes from the base of the spine up to the third eye or the mouth and then down the front. And so I feel like that's really the key, is like circulating your energy and making sure you stay grounded, not trying to like blast off. So I learned that kind of the hard way, but it yielded a lot of good lessons. And so around, back when I had my spiritual awakening in like 2007, 2008, I had really bad chronic pain, and I didn't really know how to solve it. And I ended up going to this like healing center where they taught me like meditation. And the first time I ever did a guided meditation, she did like, okay, relax your eyebrows, relax your cheeks, relax your ears, like all these progressive relaxation. And like at the end of 20 minutes, I felt like 10 times more peaceful than I had ever felt. And I was like, holy shit, why didn't somebody tell this to me? Tell me about this earlier, And so that really sparked my interest in meditation. And, I got a laptop in 2008 also. And I started watching a lot of YouTube videos. This was when YouTube was just starting out. So there wasn't nearly as much spiritual stuff. So I probably watched like every documentary on YouTube about spirituality back then. Um, and in 2010, I started making my own YouTube videos. So I would had this little camera. I would just film myself doing interesting things all the time, and that kind of, I feel like, gave me a real way of documenting my journey, and also like getting feedback and, inspiring other people. They would inspire me, and it was just like this cool sort of feedback loop. And I always had this dream to write a book that like compiled all of this knowledge that I found, because I was so passionate about this stuff that I was willing to read books that were like 500 pages. A book by Charles Eisenstein called The Ascent of Humanity. It's a super profound book. It's like more than 500 pages. I just like love that stuff, but most of my friends, I could barely get them to read like a 4-page essay. So I was like, I need to like consolidate this stuff into a way that everyday people who are busy can like digest it. So I started making the YouTube videos, and I always had this dream to write a book. And interestingly, like I mentioned that when I got hit by the car, so like I'll just tell the story real quick because it's pretty crazy. Like we were just cruising along. We were headed to San Francisco. We had already gone 99% of the way across America. We had reached the West Coast and we're going down towards San Francisco, and we were about 200 miles away. And I'm just chugging along on my bike. There's like 6 of us, probably spread out by 100 feet. And, I was just like, I would like beatbox and sing to myself while biking to just have fun. But just out of nowhere, this car slammed into me from behind. And I had these yellow Tidy Cat kitty litter buckets attached to my bike to like hold all my stuff. They're like these like kitty litter buckets. They're bright yellow. And so my kitty litter bucket got hit, and that probably saved my life, because the car hit the kitty litter bucket and the bike flew like 50 feet away, and I like tumbled off to the side, and my helmet actually cracked. Like my helmet also probably saved my life. So wear your helmet, kids, and adults. It can seriously save your life. And so I hit the ground, and I just, as soon as I took note of what happened, I was like, holy shit, I'm dead. Like this is the end of my life. Like it literally just felt like that. And so I felt basically paralyzed. I was like laying on the ground, and I looked up, just like barely could lift up my head, and everything appeared to be in slow motion. It was like my friend Charlie was running over like really slowly, and he finally got to me, and he was like, oh my God, like what should I do? And I was just like, I felt like I was going to die. So I literally said, I was like, Charlie, this is it. Tell everyone I love them. And I actually said, put all my money into buying people Eckhart Tolle books, because I was like such a fan of his books. I was like, that's the only thing that makes sense right now. Like everyone needs to read those books. But then I just like basically expected to die, and I melted into this like peaceful white light that felt like it went infinitely in every direction. And I was probably there for like a minute, and then I opened my eyes again, and I looked down at my toes, and I could like still wiggle my toes. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to send good energy throughout my whole body. And so I was already into Reiki and meditation and stuff. So I was just like doing affirmations, like everything's going to be okay. I'm going to be fine. And the lady who hit me in the car came running over. She was like hysterically crying. I was like trying to calm her down. I was like, it's okay. Like, don't worry. And eventually the ambulance came. And by that point, I was like so happy to be alive. I was just like joking with my friends. And the ambulance like came over. They were like trying to like cut my pants off because they had to like survey my wounds on my legs. And I was like, these are my only pants. Like, come on, don't cut my pants. Because on the bike trip, you don't have a lot of storage room. So, anyways, I was just kind of joking with them, and they were like, "Sir, we need to assess your injuries. Like, what's your chief complaint?" And I was like, "Well, my book hasn't been published yet." And I was just kind of joking with them because I had been wanting to write a book, and along the bike trip, I was kind of mapping it out. And so, anyways, I ended up surviving. It was totally miraculous. I only have a little scar on my knee. There was no broken bones. And I just feel like my guardian angels helped save me. So it was a pretty profound experience, and it kind of like made me feel like I can't waste my time doing anything other than like my sole purpose from now on. Like, I'm not gonna, even if I have to struggle, like, I'm not gonna, work a job that just drains my energy and stuff. And so I just basically made an agreement to just do my best to walk my own way, my own path. And I've really been doing that ever since. And it has been really tough. I have, had to make many sacrifices, but the blessings that come from like really doing your best to walk a soul path, I mean, have been amazing. And I did end up writing that book. Finally, in 2016, I published my book, which I have right here. It's called Unlocking Our Superpowers. And it's, it's 246 pages, and it's basically like 20 books squeezed into one because, I feel like the universe like hired me to write this book and like synthesize a vast amount of information that I had studied and practiced and explored, and kind of like distill the golden nuggets of every area. So that's what I tried to do, and a lot of people have given me great feedback that it really has helped them tremendously, and I'm very grateful that I'm still alive to be able to share this fun information. And I'm gonna need to just plug in my laptop. It seems that it's using a lot more battery to do the live broadcast. But yeah, I'm happy to keep chatting while we do that.
Cool. Yeah. So, I mean, it seems there's always this interesting thing about the thing with accidents, the whole thing that something happens and it puts you down a certain path, or it gives you a certain realization. I had a similar thing. I think mine was about 5 years ago, where I used to would cycle to work, and I got hit by a car and actually smashed up all this side of the face, and actually proved, in essence, proved how the qigong, the thing I've been at the time for 33 years of practicing qigong, and had big black eye, there's big scratch here. A bit like you, the helmet actually cracked. There's a big old crack through the helmet, so definitely had saved me. And then within 2 weeks, it almost totally healed. And I have to do the video, or at least I haven't got video, but the pictures on it. I have to show the pictures. But and it's that thing that your body, the body's an amazing thing. The things it can cope with, and the fact that you've got such great humour. It is like when the medical profession says, "What's your chief complaint?" My book's not written. It's like like that is so cool. That is so funny. To be able to like say no, there's not, everything's fine, and they're not, and I bet it like sort of shocked them, because they expected you to be in great agony and great pain and oh my god, I've been knocked over by this crazy person, and you're totally opposite, and that's what's really cool. It's really cool, because it shows people a different light, it shows people a different way, and that is good. And I think I think a lot of that does come from the books you read and that information. And yeah, I'm not surprised your book is like 20 books in one, because all that information that you gather, that's the whole point. Everything you learn enhances everything else you do.
Yeah. Thank
So,
you.
you're welcome. So I mean, what else? I mean, because I know you were gone into, you're very much you have a spiritual comedy as well. Is your thing. How is that progressed? How does that sort of where's that led you?
It's a great question. Well, my general thesis is that a lot of people take spirituality way too serious, and I think we need to inject some playfulness and lightness into it. You're doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to inject some playfulness and silliness into it to not take it too seriously. And then also the comedy scene, a lot of it is like kind of too like lacking of spirituality. It's almost like some of it's way too cynical and too lacking any joy. So I like to try and inject a little bit of my energy into both of those worlds. And so one practical way that I do that, by the way, anyone watching now or in the future, if you want to get the most out of this, I do recommend grabbing a little pen and paper, because, my whole philosophy is like, if you write things down, it's like an external hard drive of your brain, and it can help you to actually remember and to actually integrate some of the things that we're talking about here. So, I mean, I'm always writing stuff down when I listen to YouTube videos and, read books. Because if you write things down, then you don't have to waste energy trying to remember it, and you can actually be open to new insights, new ideas. So that's one recommendation if you want to, get the most out of this conversation. So anyways, I call it the joke revolution, and everywhere I go, I ask people for jokes. Like I go to the grocery store, and when I'm checking out with my groceries, I just say to the cashier, like, hey, how's it going? And then I'll be like, hey, I'm actually a joke collector. Do you happen to have any jokes? And sometimes they say, no, I don't know any jokes. But then I'll just say, like, hey, do you want to hear a little joke? And so I'll tell them, usually they qualify as dad jokes or puns, just like really silly, quick jokes. Like one that I tell a lot is, did you know there is 3 types of people in the world? There's those that can count, and there's those that can't.
It's like one of those. Yeah, we'll just leave that to simmer. It's a bit like being a chef. Let that one simmer. You'll get it. You'll get it in the end. Yeah.
Exactly. Or like I just like silly little puns. Like one nut was chasing another nut. What did it say? It said, "I'm a cashew." So I just like to tell little silly jokes, and like I really believe in shifting cultural norms and social norms. Like so many people, they go to the grocery store and they'll be like, "Oh, how are you doing today?" And they'll be like, "Good." The other person's like, "Good." And then you're like, "Good, that's good." And you've then said "good" like 6 times, and you haven't actually exchanged anything worthwhile, really. So I think it would be fun to like have a new social norm where people just exchange jokes. So I've collected like over 100 jokes over the past 2 years of doing this, and it's been very fun. And it's just a phenomenal way. Like so many people now, they know me as the joke guy, and like every time I come in, they'll sometimes have like a joke ready for me, or I'll have a joke ready for them. And it's this really fun way to just interact with people in a new way. So I do that, and then I do like to make some silly like YouTube videos, trying like satiring spirituality sometimes, and I'm a fan of JP Sears, even though he does push the envelope sometimes. He's pretty genius in my opinion. So I think it's good to like be able to look deeply at ourselves and laugh at some of our practices sometimes, but also to like I'm all about like balancing the different polarities, like balancing the silliness with the sacredness. Like I am a very reverent person and very disciplined. Exactly, that's what it's all about, the yin and the yang. And is that a football? What do you got there?
It's actually a cloth hammer. There's a friend of mine created war hammers, so these soft war hammers to the whole thing about play and fun. And I said, well, if I'm going to have a war hammer, because he insisted I should have one, and I said, well, if I'm going to have a war hammer, it has to be a Tai Chi war hammer. So we have the Tai Chi symbol. So because the yin and yang, when it blends together, it creates Tai Chi, which is balance. And the whole point is, so I have all these little props. So the Tai Chi war hammer, I have, well, at the moment I've made it into a staff, but I've got the lightsaber, because the words because the Jedi actually is the Egyptian word for they were Egyptian Taoists called the Jedi, which were the keepers of the pillar of light. And so George Lucas, the Jedi, their lightsaber is a pillar of light, so they are the keepers of the pillar of light. So, and the whole point of that story is actually based on Taoist and Buddhist philosophy. So like Yoda, all those things from Yoda are actually from Buddha and Lao Tzu's. And then I even have, when we'll talk about intuition and ego. So ego I represent by Stitch, so from Lila Stitch, and intuition I represent with Yoda. So Disney at some point is probably going to sue me because I use their props. But it is the whole point of intuition. You have to meditate. You have to be quiet to hear your intuition. So, and the whole thing of those things are whispers, where the ego is very loud and noisy. It likes to be a bit chaotic, but it's a seafood too. So I do believe very much into that. Making things fun, making things enjoyable. The Taoist philosophy is be like a child, but take responsibility like an adult. So it's finding back to the hammer where I'll put that, but the whole Tai Chi hammer. It's about that balance. It is about that balance between the two.
Yeah. Do you know why the Star Wars movies were ordered 4, 5, 6, then 1, 2, 3?
It could be interesting. Oh, okay. Go on.
Arranged the films, Yoda did.
Oh, I love it. Okay, let's see if you got this one. So, so there's a man on a ladder in a street, in a road, and he's got this paint, and he's painting. And this police officer comes up, and he sees the man on the ladder and painting with this weird paint, and he comes over and says, "Excuse me, sir, what are you doing?" And the man says, "I'm painting anti-elephant paint on this wall." And the police officer says, "But there are no elephants around here." And the man says, "It's blooming good stuff, this, isn't it?"
Nice.
That's a very dad joke. That is a very dad joke. So there you go.
Cool. So along with the comedy thing, I have these six pillars that I have identified that basically kind of outline my overall lifestyle and way So basically I'll just go through them. I'll first just list them. So I got sleep, diet, exercise, life purpose, earth connection, and human relationships. And I feel like these 6 pillars are key for having a healthy, happy life, because if any one of these is off balance, then it will instantly make the other pillars wobble. So if you can imagine like a house that's held up by 6 pillars, if one of the pillars starts to wobble, then everything gets thrown off. So, one of my superpowers, I'll just start with the earth connection. Like I walk barefoot on Mother Earth. I call her Pachamama. It's like my daily practice when I wake up, before I go to bed, usually during the day as well. Even if it's really cold outside, I still do it because there's so much science that literally proves like, um, so they say like, what is the number one cause of disease is inflammation. They say not inflammation is attracted to or attached to almost every common illness. And then they say, what is the number one thing that solves inflammation? It's literally walking barefoot in the grass. Like that will take your inflammation. They've done studies where they show you your body temperature before you walk barefoot and then 30 minutes after walking barefoot, and you can see in the thermograph like all these places in the body that carry tension and heat. It's like it drains out of you when you just walk barefoot. And so this is like a key superpower that is so helpful and has totally revolutionized my life and many of my friends as well. But I feel like so many people are just not doing it. It's like a blind spot. They're like, oh well, I don't live near a park, or I don't have time, or there's excuses. But it's like we're missing out on this phenomenal healing energy that can literally cure you from so many illnesses and be a preventative medicine. And it's free. It's 100% free. It's like you don't have to do anything except walk barefoot. And, I also will lay in the grass, do yoga. And so that to me is so crucial to also being grounded. I do my exercises barefoot in the grass. Unless it's really cold out, then I'll just walk a little bit. But that to me is crucial foundation for being grounded. And it ties right in with exercise. Like I've had so many health issues over my life, and I feel like I know how much of a blessing it is to have a healthy body, or even a relatively healthy body. Like I've been in the hospital for like 3 weeks last year, and it's so horrible to lose all of your capacities, and I just encourage everyone watching this to like realize how much of a blessing it is and like cherish that. Don't wait till you get sick. Don't wait till you have an accident or something to be so grateful for your body in whatever state it's in, and really take care of it as like a temple, so exercise is crucial for me. And that's another thing. Like some people think that exercise is not spiritual or something, like you have to be doing yoga or qigong, but like I do weightlifting every day. I do push-ups, sit-ups, squats. I think that's a huge myth that we have to debunk, that you can't like work out hard. Like I think that's one of the best spiritual practices, because for me it like brings my soul into my body, and it's like I'm fully here embodied. I'm not like floating around in outer space, and I think that a lot of people also have a blind spot that they're not exercising enough. And like it can be so much fun, and it's like we're in these spacesuits 24/7. We might as well take care of them and make them like strong and awesome, so that's one thing I highly recommend, is just finding an exercise routine that works for you. Even if it's just 30 minutes a day. Like recently I've kind of cut back. I've just been doing 30 minutes a day, but I do it every day, and it sets me up for the whole day, so that's really crucial for me. I'm happy to hear any of your exercise strategies.
Well, the whole thing in the Taoist arts. So in Taoist, even true martial arts. So true martial arts is called the spiritual warrior, and what people misunderstand, people think, oh, martial arts is all about fighting. Is actually it's the last thing on the list. It is that true martial arts is actually about protection, and it's about protection of Kuan Yin, the divine feminine energy of the children's fire. So the the energy of childlike nature and wonder, and but also like protection of yourself, and so there's many different parts in that. So the what people don't realise, so the word in Chinese, the word kung fu or gung fu means sporting activity. So if you go for a run, you're doing kung fu. If you go and play soccer or football, American football or soccer, or I'm actually a bit of an ice skating. Always loved ice skating, ice hockey. That is what they call kung fu. Is sporting activity. So yeah, you need something that can exert yourself. So if you go for a run, you're doing kung fu. I can hear myself.
Sorry, I opened the window.
No, it's all good. So the whole point is that physical exertion is a good thing. You do need that as well as the qigong and any exercise that generates energy, more energy than you burn. Exactly. So physical exertion burns energy. Qigong actually is about generating energy. So like we teach, you can do Qigong ironing, you could do Qigong walking the dog, you can do Qigong everything. And the same with yoga. True yoga is about that union of mind, body, spirit, that stretching, the whole point of stretching the body in a dynamic way. The Taoist version of that's called Neigong. And when you do, and then meditation. Well, meditation, we says this big myth of sitting cross-legged, going hovering off the ground. Well, that's cool if you can do it, but that's not the only meditation. Riding the bike is a meditation. Reading a book is a meditation. Watching the world go by can be a meditation. Going to a walk in the park can be a meditation, can be a qigong, can be a yoga. It can be all of the above. And the Taoist, the Taoist philosophy of you really want at least those three. Yes, you want that physical exertion, but you also want qigong, neigong, and shengong or meditation. And when you have all of those three, you'll find your own personal balance. But the earthing, going out, that is such. It is a really cool thing, and you're so right. We'll always find excuses. I mean, people find excuses to not do half an hour exercise, physical exertion, let alone a bit of qigong, a bit of meditation, a bit of stretching, a bit of taking your shoes and socks off and going for a walk outside for 5 minutes. We've sort of made that seem so taboo, like, oh no, the nature is bad for you, nature, you'll get ill. No, nature's the thing that bloody keeps you going, that will heal you. And there's that thing they call it earthing, and where they even they'll have a connection like an earth lead, like a wire that going from the going from the garden and comes into the house and connected to your bed. They even done that, and they found that affects the body. And of course, I'm a little bit into, so the fire way, so the Kundalini is one thing, but you also got the waterway, and one version of the waterway is what they'll call one way, the fire way is ice walking or ice swimming or ice bathing. So I don't know if you've heard of Wim Hof, the mighty Wim Hof.
I posted about it today actually.
And he, I've actually, was the show before this one, I actually said, I'm pretty sure Wim Hof is a reincarnation of a Tibetan or Buddhist or Taoist, because the technique he uses is the fire. You've heard of the Kundalini technique. Well, there's so many techniques in that, and the fire breathing is like sitting in that ice water and holding the breath in a certain way, speeding up your breathing a certain way. That activates the fire way, and then you flip that, the water way cools you down and reverses it. So, you know, the fact he does that, you know, the medical case studies on sitting in either having a cold shower or sitting in ice cold water for even 15 minutes a day, the health benefits are enormous health benefits. Now, if that scares the living daylights out of you, or you think, no way am I doing that, take your shoes and socks off and go and walk outside. I'll give you two options. You can have an ice bath, or you can go and walk outside. Yeah, when you give people that sort of option, they'll go for a walk outside, take their shoes and socks off. That's easy compared to what Wim Hof does. But I've done that as well. So, but it's that thing. I think we need to change our way of thinking. You know, we see health in the wrong way. We see food in the wrong way. You know, and I think what, you know, the things I've, you know, the videos I've seen of yours, you know, food. I know you see it in this way. Food is medicine. It's not. Food is not just something you throw down your throat. In the Eastern philosophy, food is medicine, and you know, it contains certain things, and you can do certain things with food. It can heal you, and so can, you know, these other things as well. And I think we've got to stop seeing nature as something big, scary, and oh no, it's bad for you. And it's like, no, totally opposite. Totally opposite.
Yeah, I mean, I firmly believe that we are nature. We're nature with amnesia. We've forgotten that we are literally made of the same stuff as trees, rabbits, mice. Like the whole web of life is one ecosystem, and we've just like put ourselves in these bubbles and separated ourselves out. And so a huge part of my philosophy, like I have a whole book in here called Pachamama Reconnection. And so Pachamama is a word from the Quechua language of South America, and it means Mother Earth. And it's revering Mother Earth as a living being. Like she's a living creature that we are vitally connected with. And so I feel like by using the term the earth, it's like almost objectifying Mother Earth, you know. But if you say, like, imagine if you were sitting next to the sister, you know, like by using the word the, you're saying that this is kind of a outside thing over here that I'm not really in relationship with. But by using the term like Pachamama or Mother Earth, it's a way of kind of reestablishing that connection. And so I really encourage everyone watching to, as much as you can, you know, find ways to connect with nature and really do like that skin to grass, skin to tree. Like we are tactile creatures, and like I don't think walking with shoes on is enough, you know. I mean, that it helps to get you in the zone, but I really think I know for a fact that there's a magic that happens when you walk barefoot, and especially if you can find grass that has like a cool feeling, that means that it's like kind of moist grass that allows the energy to go through even easier. So like you're literally like discharging any stress or negative energy that is overwhelming you, and you're taking in fresh chi, fresh life energy. So I can't recommend that enough. You know, people always tell me like, oh, you have good energy, you seem so relaxed, and I'm like, it's because every day I walk barefoot and I discharge all my stress, and I take in fresh energy, you know.
And that's good, and you know, that is such a, you know, that is such an important thing you can do. I mean, even to the fact that like you know, even if you don't go walk outside, have some plants, have some, and you know, and touch them, and or you know, just clean them or water them, but touch the leaves and do something that's connected to nature. You know, even if you live a block of flats, there are ways that you can, you know. You know, we said this actually the show before that you know, even we call it, you know, the urban jungle. It's created by man. Man is a living being. Man is a consciousness. Everything has energy. Everything, you know, there are so many ways to interconnect. And I mean, I'm pretty sure it started out there in the States. The whole urban jungle, you know, the whole urban gardening, and you know, and going and putting, you know, planting food and that sort of thing. If you can.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I lost Paul. I don't know what
So,
happened, but
and I'm back.
I guess I'll.
Like, you hear me? Cool.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Cool.
So I mentioned, as I almost fall off my yoga ball, because I actually sit on a yoga ball on top of a balance ball. That's why I move about all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, I mentioned summer holiday, and which is Cliff Richard, and that's it. It killed the camera, but it was an awesome place with this big lake, and there's a sandy beach on this. It's, you know, it's totally inland, but they got a full sandy beach. But it's that connection with the earth. You know, allow yourself. You know, if you can find something like that, or like I say, even if you live in a tower block. I knew somebody who lived in a tower block, and he had a balcony, and his balcony is full of plants. You know, it's all, and the green light, you know, helps the eyes. The green connects to if you're into chakras, green connects to the heart chakra. So, and you know, breathing, what you breathe out, plants breathe in. That's the whole point. So there's a transference of energy. It's great. It's a great way to connect, and something as simple as that, or you know, or just have a bucket full of bloody sand and play with the sand. If you know, do something that helps you connect back with nature. That's an important thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like another key is like letting go of the fear that other people are going to think you're weird or think or judge you, you know, like I do yoga in public places all the time, and people do give me weird looks and stuff, but it's like we got to get over that shit. Like straight up, like some people say like the greatest prison you could ever live in is the fear of what other people think, you know. And if you're living your life like tiptoeing around fearing what these people are going to think if you're walking barefoot, or they're going to call you a tree hugger or whatever, like that's such a disempowering way to live. And you know, there's that Dr. Seuss quote that's like, the people that mind don't matter and the people that matter don't mind. You know, and I think that definitely applies to this. So like I encourage anyone watching to like just be free, go to the public park, you know, go to wherever and just do your thing. You know, if you want to reduce your weird lookingness, you can at least bring a yoga mat, so people will be like, oh, they've got a yoga mat, they're doing yoga. I don't really care about that, so I just stand in the grass, but that does help if you want to do that.
Yeah, but yeah, I think you know, this is the whole thing. When you were a kid, when you were a toddler, you didn't care. You didn't care, you know, if you were, you know, singing to yourself out in public. You didn't care. It's the thing, as adults, we lost that ability to have fun, and we made things too serious, and that's and that, you know, breeds all this stuff of, people will look at you funny. So what if they do? What does it matter?
Yeah.
It is always funny is that one of my students who's a Sifu himself, Sifu Baz, when he picks me up when I come down to his house to stay, or because he's a musician and he's in a band, and I come down and give them a hand, or I come down to see them play, and he always picks me up from the station, and I'll be doing qigong with people walking by, and he says, how can you do it? He says, why do I care? I don't care what other people think. That's not my problem. That's their problem. Only, they have to worry about what they think. Or all I have to do is worry what I think, and I don't worry. It's irrelevant. So, yeah. So, and even with the ice skating days, I used to because you guys don't have this so much, but in England they actually had the thing where like skating sessions, people would go to just skate, rather than just to play ice hockey or to figure skate, we would go and skate, and I'd be on a skating session and I'll just start doing qigong on the ice. And my friend just got he's doing his stuff again. He's doing his but playing around and it's play. You're meant to play. You're meant to explore. You're meant to play, because we did when we were kids, and we were never meant to grow up. That's the whole thing. According to the ancient knowledge, we were meant. The only take responsibility is that you have to do certain things at certain times, but we still were meant to play. We're still meant to enjoy life, and that's the other thing about nature. Nature, if you're playing like a child, you'll stay more childlike. That means you're less likely to get adult illnesses, with depression and worry, because when you're worrying about this and worrying what you look like, or worrying about the bills and this and that, that's when the problems occur. When you actually allow yourself to play and allow yourself to let go of those tensions, you actually improve your healing, and basically is your chi flows, your energy flows. You only get ill because your energy is blocked. It's simple. If you're ill, it's quite simple. And so going out with that bed, that is something I don't do. I must admit, I don't do much of I spend a lot of time outside, but I don't actually get my feet in the ground. So I think I'm going to listen to Philo here, and start finding time to put that into my diary. When I go down to the beach, I do it down at the beach. That's more stones. But I love sitting on the ocean, hearing the waves, get some of that sea air, the old ionized air. Even if you do, even if you don't necessarily put your feet in the ground, put your bloody hands on the grass at least. Go and sit, lean. Exactly. You don't have to hug a tree, lean against a tree, but do something, connect with that earth. That is, I think, I really do believe you on that. It's, people think it's very woo-woo, and I think there's too much science to prove that it's not woo-woo at all.
There's a whole book about it called Earthing, the most important scientific discovery ever, ? Like, it's literally like a cure-all, panacea for so many different things. And most people just aren't doing it. I'm looking at the comments here. Kimberly said, yes, indeed, I hug trees all the time. That's awesome. And Janelle said, inner child health is so important. I totally agree, and that's a huge part of my overall philosophy, is like healing the inner child, and I think play is one way to do that. But like, I feel like we have to learn to develop a relationship with our inner child, because so many of us experience trauma as kids. And like, I think there's another myth that we have to like break down around trauma. Like, some people think you can only have PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, from like going to war in Iraq or something. And that's very true. I'm sure those people have it way worse than most people, but I think most people have some degree of trauma, stress in their life. And until you like go back into that part of yourself and heal your inner child, and kind of, we like, some people say you store your issues in your tissues. So like a lot of studies show that you store, trauma in the tissues of your body. And so my whole philosophy is like holistic health. And so there's so many different ways to work on healing trauma, getting massage. I recommend people like learn basic massage so you can trade it with your partner or your friends or whatever, because just getting that human connection is really good for getting your brain out of the fight or flight, fear state, and just into like, oh, it's okay. Like I can relax, so that's one. And like, I'm really big on guided meditations. There's so many on YouTube that you can listen to. I'll pull up 2 windows. I'll play a guided meditation, and then I'll also put on like really relaxing music in conjunction with it, and that's pretty magical. I have some listed in my superpowers book. There's a channel online called Ask Angels where she does like kind of angel meditations, and for so much of my life I was really skeptical about angels and higher realms and whatnot, and my rational mind still doesn't really understand it, but I know that it feels relaxing and soothing, and so I keep enjoying it. But I really think like developing that relationship with your inner child, even like, I know it sounds weird. I thought it was really weird when I first found out about it, but like doing like a fake conversation with your inner child, being like, hey, imagine yourself as like 6 years old and being like, what are your needs? What are your fears? What memories are you still like holding on to? And just like being playful with it, like, oh, having a little conversation, and that has helped me tremendously to heal from so many like traumas that I was basically in denial of. I didn't realize how much like being bullied all the way through middle school and stuff had effect on me, but it caused me to like have this armor all the time, so I've been slowly like letting go of that energetic armor.
Because that's one of the Taoist things of you want to know what traumas you have from a child. Can you go and play? Can you go and sit there and be with kids and just or on yourself? Can you go into a park and go and play in the sand? And if the answer is no, you have trauma. Is that if you're nervous about what people think, you have trauma. If you're, if you can't just say things and say something silly and not worry about it, you have trauma. And that's what the Yates would say, is that whenever you have doubt, fear, or worry, you have trauma. That there is a blockage there. And that thing about like talking to your inner child. The whole thing, they did case studies with in psychology and NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. They had athletes, and they got athletes to pretend to do their run and or to do their whatever their sport was, to pretend to do their sport, and they got the athletes to imagine getting ready for their run and going to do their run. And while they sat there, their muscles started flexing, their body heated up,
Exactly.
and it physically affected them. And what they stated, and what was stated even to a science degree, was that the mind can't tell the difference between what you imagine and what is real. Now, when you then you go to the inner child thing, what you are actually talking to your subconscious. You are, as in reflecting. If you want, don't see it as an inner child. See it as a fairy. See it as see it as Yoda, if it helps. It doesn't matter how you do it, but it actually matters that you do it. And this whole thing of, you hear one of the key words at the moment is the whole shadow work. Doing the shadow work. Shadow work is simply look at your past and value it. Look at something in your past. Does it upset you? Why? Relive it. Go back to it. forgive yourself for why it upset you, or go and look at, well, see it as the third person. So this is another imaginary games. This is what we did as kids. We played games, but the whole point of playing the game was you're actually processing the world around you. That's how you learn. The whole things of being doctors, or pretending to be a chef, or pretending be a pirate ship. You were learning to interact with people through the play. You were learning, the Taoist culture on imaginary friends is they're not imaginary friends, they're interdimensional beings, or they're at least your subconscious. Is that when you imagine talking to somebody, they're talking back to you, it is at least your subconscious. It's your subconscious mind going through. That's what your dreams are. Your dreams, you're talking to yourself in your dream. Everything in the dream is you. From the ground under your feet to the sky to the pink elephant that's flying past, it's all you. So you're talking to yourself all the freaking time, more than you realize. And we've made that taboo. We've made openly talking to yourself taboo, but it's not. It shouldn't be, because it's how you process stuff. It's how you work through stuff. And that's what, when people have illness, or people have fear and anxiety and tension, it's all because we're storing all this information rather than getting rid of it. And yoga, the Neigong and yoga is rare. So Qigong energizes the body, brings lots of energy up. Shen-gong meditation, that helps expand the consciousness, the mind. Yoga, the whole point, you should be doing energy exercise of Qigong every day, meditation every day, and yoga every day. Yoga is like a dirty cloth, and you squeeze that dirty cloth to get out the dirty water. When you stretch your tendons, you release. Your tendons store the emotional stress. They store as toxins. It builds up as toxins in the body, and they store in the tendons your emotional stress. So stretching the body releases the tendons. You don't believe me? Watch a cat. Watch a dog. What's the first thing they do when they wake up? They stretch. Yeah. They sit there, look into space. So that's their meditation. Stretching is their yoga. Their mad half hour they do, where they seem to be like a kitten or a puppy again, with loads of energy. That's their qigong. Nature does it all the freaking time. That's the whole point. Yeah. But hey, as any good Taoist should say, what do I know?
I think that's really the key, is that everyone is their own. We want to all teaching should lead you to your inner teacher, and I think it's important for people to try practices out for themselves and see what resonates, what works, and that's really what it's all about, is like developing your intuition. For a long time I didn't feel like I could trust my intuition, but as I peeled back the layers of social conditioning and actually spent time with myself, then I got to be able to like hear that little voice that says like, this is good for you, this is not good for you, and be more anchored in my heart. And some of the comments people said, I carry a photo with me at the age I received the trauma, which really helped with the inner work of healing myself. Yeah, I feel the same way. I've done that, like looking back at pictures from my childhood to have a better way of connecting with that time. And, one thing that I feel is like finding exactly where on your body you're holding tension and just like meditating on that area. I truly believe that we can all channel healing energy through our hands. You don't have to, it's helpful to get a Reiki attunement and whatnot, but it's not mandatory. Like you can literally just put your hand on your back and channel healing energy through your back, especially if you just lay on your bed and listen to some healing music, like that can like send energy throughout to the like little inner child self and like just heal so much of the past through that. Yeah, someone said where energy goes, attention, or where energy flows, where attention goes. Yeah.
Yeah, and where intention where intention goes, energy flows, chi. You know, that's the whole point. They're the same thing. But think, if you sort of, you get off a chair and you hurt your back, what do? You put your hand on your back. If you hit your elbow, your arm, what do? You rub your arm. You're doing freaking Reiki.
Exactly.
That's what, if you think, oh, Philo, I was thinking of you yesterday, that's Reiki. I'm sorry to hear about your bike accident. Oh, I'm sending you love. My thoughts are with you, my friend. I'm sending you Reiki.
Yeah.
You do it all the freaking time. It's just we don't call it those words. Is that Reiki is not a thing. Reiki is a state of being. Qigong is not a thing. It's a state of being. Yoga is not a thing. It's a state of being. Earthing is not a thing. It's a state of being. Just be these things, you do them, but become them, and be one with them, make them part of what you do. That's the whole point. But again, it's only good how I should say. What do I know? So Chanel saying, that's amazing, love it. Doubt, fear, resistance equals trauma. Yeah, it's all about, if you're holding on to something, that's the old Buddhist saying, is that holding on to the past is like putting rocks into a backpack. You're just going to get heavier and heavier and heavier. And you have to let stuff go. You have to let the past go. Let go of the rocks.
Yeah. One other thing I want to mention is that I'm really big on a word that I've sort of made up. It's called reflential. Hey, Kaylee. Reflential means reflecting your greatest potential. And so I think it's important to surround ourselves with an environment that reflects our greatest potential. And you can do that visually. You can do that with the foods you eat. You can do that with the air quality that you live in, and the essential oil smells that you surround yourself with. Having a clean environment and the music that you listen to. These are all like different types of food energy that we're taking in. And so I just encourage everyone to kind of develop your own environment wherever you're at home or work or wherever, that reflects your greatest potential, and also surrounding yourself with people that encourage you and inspire you and reflect your greatest potential. And like, I'm just going to show my friend's art here that I have. It's like some cool sacred geometry art. And I have this type of art all over my room. And I like to just meditate while staring at this. It helps to really like center me. And I have another one right here that is really cool. This is from my friend Justin Struble. It's like a kind of the genre they call is called visionary art. And I'm actually starting a collective called the Visual Medicine Collective to gather art from all my different artist friends to sell at events and sell online, because it truly can change the whole vibration of a space when you have beautiful art. Like, I love your whole setup behind you. I recently got this tapestry. It's just fun to like have things that are kind of like sending you good vibes all the time. And that, in my opinion, is a really easy way to enhance your whole life.
Yes.
I want to plant that seed.
Yeah, and because even like I say that behind you, basically that's a fractal. It's the whole thing. You'll find that is sacred geometry patterns in that. Cymatics, we mentioned this just a couple of days ago. Actually, on the network, there's actually a picture, a post about cymatics, and the whole thing of it's like a metal plate with like a speaker underneath, or the speaker is the metal plate itself, and when they put a frequency or tone that makes patterns, and and they've actually found from different patterns, you have the flower life, you have all the different sacred geometry, and the whole point is that so that tone creates a frequency, and that frequency creates a pattern within the liquid or whatever whatever the substance is on that speaker. You are a speaker. You've got a mouth. You make noise. You're a freaking speaker. So your tone, you're always making your body is full of liquid, so there's the substance. You're making fractals all the freaking time, but not just from your thoughts, not just from, your voice. Everything is frequency. So your thoughts are frequency. Your emotions are frequency. There was was it Doctor, I forget his name, I think Dr. Emoto, the water experiments, and again, there was there were certain scientists that tried to poo-poo it, but there was already quantum physics that was saying that they already knew that if you focus on something in a certain way, that the observer affects the experiment, and that was the whole point. This is why we have blind and double-blind case studies within science, because even the way you think about something, you can affect the way it reacts. So your body, the whole thing with the Dr. Moto's experiment is that your body, again, is liquid. So if you're thinking negative, that's going to affect you negatively. If you're thinking positive, that's going to affect you positively. Your health is literally a mirror of what you're thinking and feeling. And that's the big eye opener for a lot of people, is that how healthy you are reflects how happy you are and how balanced you are. Is that if your health is deteriorating, look at your mood, look at what you're thinking, look at what you're feeling. If your health is flourishing, look at what you're thinking, look at what you're feeling. It affects us far more. And the placebo is like, the sugar tablet, where somebody takes a sugar tablet believing that it's the real medicine and it heals them. Dr. Bruce Lipton actually talks about the nocebo effect, is that if you believe that, it doesn't matter what happens, you're going to be ill, that will happen. And that affects the body in exactly the same way. Not better or worse, exactly the same. So whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you are right. And that is the bottom line. That is the most important thing that you need to understand, is that if you're healthy, that's because of how you're thinking and feeling. If you're unhealthy, that's because of how you're thinking and healing. And it boils down to that. It boils down. Pharmaceutical companies don't want you to know this information because they can't make money from it. They can't label it. But you are far more powerful than you're allowed to imagine. So stop listening to people that say you can't imagine it and you're not allowed to imagine it, and start bloody imagining it. So there. But hey, what do I know?
On that note, I just want to share this little piece from my book. It's called The Affirmation Activations, and these are 9 different statements that you can put before different affirmations to make them much more powerful, because these statements will help you to reprogram your subconscious mind, and these have helped me and the people that I work with tremendously. So there's 3 different categories. There's receptive, generative, and transformative. So, for example, say your affirmation is, maybe you want to get a new job. So you're thinking okay, I'm going to visualize my new job. I'm going to feel what it's like to be there with nice coworkers, and I'm making good money and X, Y, and Z. But if deep down you don't believe that you're worthy of this new job, then you're going to be subconsciously self-sabotaging it. So if you then start saying, I'm totally worthy of receiving a new job, and I always encourage people to do a body movement with an affirmation so that it actually anchors in. By repeating that statement over and over again, you're reprogramming your subconscious mind. And I always teach people that 95% of our behavior is run by our subconscious mind. That's why you can drive a car and be having a conversation. So the 5% of your conscious mind, which I usually say is stored up here, you're having a conversation, but the 95% of your subconscious mind, the rest of your body, is doing all these complex actions. And so if you realize that 95% of our behavior is subconscious, then we have to see if we're doing something that we don't like in our life, it's because we're like on autopilot. We've been conditioned in a certain way. So you have to like figure out how to go back in and like change things around. But in order to do that, you can't just like repeat it in your mind. You have to like use your body and really feel it in all your cells. That's how you actually like make that shift. So I lead workshops and classes, and I have a whole video seminar or video tutorial on YouTube showing people how to do this system. Like if you start to use these statements to reprogram your subconscious, then you form a whole new belief system, and it's a way of like taking your power back, because we've all basically inherited the beliefs of our parents and society, and that's what is running our lives for the most part until we really reclaim our power. So I'm a huge fan of affirmations, but doing them in a way that's embodied, and also using these little statements that I have in the book and I also have on the videos online are really helpful for like one of them is I claim my power. So just saying like, I claim my power to manifest a good job, or I claim my power to live a healthy lifestyle. It's like you're recentering yourself every time you do that. So I'm a huge fan of affirmations, and if you want to search the system, it's just called Affirmation Activations. It's on my YouTube channel. So I just wanted to mention that because I truly believe we can reprogram our subconscious minds and, astronomically shift how we live our lives.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I do think that's really important. So, yeah, thank you, my friend. It's been a great show. So, I mean, I am sort of planting them out there anyway, planting little seeds of how to find you. But how do we find you? Tell me some of the ways we can find you.
Well, I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania no, you can, I mean, if you stop in through Pittsburgh, I'm a community organizer. I organize festivals and all kinds of cool stuff here. I have an email list that I send out, but if you search Philo, Lila on Facebook, I'll come up. I also help run a nonprofit called Team Pachamama, and we organize a lot of events. And we also have a Facebook page, which I encourage you to like and follow our Facebook page, where we post like inspiring news stories every day, inspiring music. That's another huge thing. I have a list of like, 50 amazing, conscious, inspiring, uplifting musicians on the Team Pachamama website. So it's teampachamama.net. And these musicians, it's like these could become like the soundtrack of your life. If you're listening to like crappy radio that has tons of commercials and stuff, then that's like the food you're taking in. So anyways, I'm huge on conscious music. I've actually made a couple albums myself. This is one of my albums here called Evolution in Motion, which is available on Bandcamp. I believe Paul is posting the link to that, but it's philolila.bandcamp.com. And I love to make fun. I have a lot of fun making music. I'm working on some new music right now. So Facebook's the main way to find me. I have a YouTube channel where I also have over 500 videos over the last pretty much 10 years, which is crazy. I've been on YouTube for 10 years. But yeah, I love life, and I'm so happy to be alive every day. And I really just want to share all the different tools that have helped me. If anyone's ever interested, I'm happy to mail out like signed copies of my book if you want to buy it from me directly, or it's also on Amazon if you search Unlocking Our Superpowers. It's a very fun book. It's got the Flower of Life on there, which you mentioned before, the Flower of Life. I feel like this is like scientific proof that everything is connected. It's like this pattern is found at the molecular level, at the cellular level, at the, human level, at the planetary level. Yep. At the freaking galactic level. It's like, we're all connected. and we got to learn to work together. So yeah, it's been it's been awesome being on here. I did want to crack one more joke, which is that
Please do.
that was Zen. This is Tao.
Oh, that definitely sounds like a boggy joke. Oh,
yeah.
I love that.
All my jokes are open source, happy to be recycled. And yeah, I encourage everyone, if you want to just jot these 6 pillars down, to like, if you really want to jumpstart 2020, figure out how to get good sleep, have a good holistic diet that fills you with yummy nourishment and good energy, have an exercise regimen that challenges you and it's somewhat enjoyable, but helps you have discipline, have some kind of life purpose, like your soul purpose, some kind of mission that fuels you. The 5th one is the earth connection, feeling some way of connecting with nature, which is really my like core spirituality, is connecting with nature. I believe that all spiritual practices can be found throughout nature, whatever your base beliefs are. And then the last one is human relationships, like figuring out how to connect with people in an authentic way. Those 6 pillars are really the foundation of me living a good life. And I feel like most people, if you work on those 6 pillars, then you'll be doing good. And the sole purpose thing is also like contributing to the greater good, figuring out ways to be of service. I feel like we all have superpowers that are meant to help the world, and we're not going to feel really fulfilled unless we're doing that. So let's do it, and don't take yourself too seriously. But yeah, do some of this. Wish people a happy Tuesday, even if it's not Tuesday, and tell
fun.
jokes. If anyone wants to send me a message on Facebook, like I'm fairly hybrid. I'm kind of a monk, but I always answer every message that I get. And I also have an email, which is philopgh@gmail. And I do one-on-one holistic coaching if anyone's ever interested in that. I love working one-on-one with people to help embody those 6 pillars that I mentioned. And yeah, life was awesome. Thanks for watching, y'all.
Yeah, indeed. Life is all.
Thank you for holding the space.
Oh, it's been a great show. I've loved the show. It's very much my bedtime, but apart from that, it's been I've loved the show, so it's definitely worth staying up a little bit to do this show. So yeah, so guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. It's been awesome. So yeah, the links are down below. We've got lots of different links down there. Actually, she was on the show literally just before you. So Kira saying, good sleep, holistic diet, exercise, life purpose, earth connection, human relationship. What a synchronicity that we are both on the Boggy show today. I am running a challenge called Unlock Your Superpower. Yes, I actually because she saw the whole superpowers, and it's like, actually, your book's about superpowers. It's like, God blimey, how so yes, indeed. It's all good. All
I think
good.
we got to team up then.
Yeah. Oh, I think you do. I think you and Kira would definitely need to contact each other. So Kira, meet Philo, meet Kira. If you need an introduction, let me know. So there you go. It's all good and heard. So right, that's it. So talking about sleep, I definitely am starting to want some pretty soon. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. It has been a really good show. I have enjoyed this one immensely. So just let's have a quick look. So I think there might actually, no, there is one tomorrow. There is